Do you ever feel like you're a superhero or you have some kind of secret talent? I know I do. Hey guys, my name is Murray. Welcome to this tutorial. We're going to take a look at making things appear out of nowhere and also making things disappear. So if we just take a look here, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I have superpowers of some kind. I can even make myself disappear. Alright, so here we are in Premiere Pro. I nearly said After Effects, I'm so used to saying that. The reason why I'm starting in Premiere Pro is because I'm going to also show you how we can link our whole project from Premiere Pro into After Effects, because let's just say that this is one shot of like a short film or something like that. So we're going to start out in Premiere Pro and I'm going to show you how you can link it in After Effects, and you can always switch back in between the two projects and everything will be updated in real time. And you might understand a little bit more about what that means later if you don't understand right now. But here's our shot here. Let's just quickly take a look at the blank plate. Do you ever feel like you're a superhero or you have some kind of secret talent? I know I do. Hey guys, my name is Murray. Welcome to this tutorial. We're going to take a look at making things appear out of nowhere and also making things disappear. So if we just take a look here, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. I have superpowers of some kind. I can even make myself disappear. So that's the shot there, and it's obviously very cheesy without the visual effects, especially here where you can hear the first thing drop. I made sure that I wasn't talking during that noise, because I know that it's going to interfere with my voice. So I can take that out by simply just pressing P on the keyboard. Just go to that line there and just pull it down like that, and that'll help. And sometimes you might have to do a bit more actually. And you'll just add in some other room tone or wild audio, people call it, underneath, which is just environment sounds essentially. So I have that. So now we're going to link it up into After Effects. So I just right click on my video layer and I'm going to replace with After Effects composition, and it's just going to switch over to After Effects. This is just my previous project. It'll create a new one for me. So here's our final result here, and it's also even got it doesn't have the audio in fact, because it's not nested in Premiere Pro. It's just selected here. If I selected all of them, right clicked on them and clicked nest, and then I right click on it and do replace with After Effects composition, the audio will show up in here as well. But it didn't, because these are separate tracks. The audio was recorded separately from the video camera. I have a phone in my pocket and I have a cable with a lavalier microphone under my shirt. And so audio was recorded to my phone and then the video was recorded to my camera, because the audio quality would have been way better. But anyways, that's for another tutorial. We're going to jump back into After Effects here. And just a quick note before we get started, if you want the lightning effect, the lightning bars on the sticks, you're going to have to use the free plugin from videocopilot.net. It's called Saber. I'll leave the link so you can download that. And the first thing I noticed that I'm going to do is remove these sticks here from the beginning so that they only appear when my hand kind of picks them up. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a frame where they're out away from that space. So right over here we're going to use that. So I'm going to duplicate the layer here. I'm going to right click on it, making sure that wherever my indicator is where I want that frame. Right now this frame is empty right over here, so I'm going to right click on the layer. I'm going to go to time, I'm going to go to freeze frame. Alright, so now if I kind of move along here, there's nothing happening, because this top layer here is covering the bottom layer and this top layer is stuck on this frame. That's okay. I'm going to show you how we're going to go about this. I'm going to grab the mask tool. This is the rectangle tool. By pressing Q, you can use this one, it just takes longer. I'm just going to undo that real quick. I'm just going to use this one because it's neat and simple, and then I'm just going to go back here to wherever the sticks were, and I'm just going to make the mask smaller just so it doesn't interfere with my hands later on. And just adjust that a bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. I don't think I need to feather the mask, but you can if you want to. The camera was still pretty much the whole time, so I don't see any harsh edges around here. But if you do have any harsh edges around with a mask, you can just go to the feather here. By pressing F on your keyboard when you have this selected, you can feather the mask to whatever you want. And obviously be careful because it can show through. But if it does that and you still need to feather it, you can just increase the distance of the mask. and that's that. But I don't need to do that, so we're gonna undo that real quick. Next thing I'm gonna do is go to where I almost touched the mask, so right about there. I'm gonna create a mask path. So after I've created that keyframe, I'm just gonna drag it back into time a little bit. Next, I'm going to adjust the mask. I'm gonna hold shift whilst I drag it. Just gonna drag it up a little bit, doesn't have to be too far. And then I'm gonna actually grab the bottom here and hold shift again and drag that bottom up. So it kind of makes a reveal kind of thing like that. Let's just go back into the main view, and this is what it would look like. So it kind of appears like that, nice and cool. And obviously if you have a feathered mask, this edge here wouldn't be so sharp. So just to give you an example, if I feather it, you can see it's a kind of fade now, which it might be what you want, but I'm just gonna, maybe I'll stick with the feather of 10, I don't know. No big deal. So there's that. I'll press spacebar so you can see what it looks like. That's pretty cool, nothing fancy. Next we can take a look at adding some elements just to kind of spice it up a little bit. So what I have here are some cartoon graphics that I've been creating for the last month or so. I'm just going to drag both of them in, and just a little bit more about these. This is a product that I'm going to make available pretty soon, so keep an eye out on the store and on the channel. You will know once those come out. What's nice is with these you can scale them down. They're pretty high quality. You can use them in your 4K projects if you would like. Once these do come out, the link will be in the description, but at the moment it's not because I haven't finished the product, but it's coming out pretty soon. So originally they have a black background, and I'm just gonna check the blend mode, and let's do screen so that the black background is gone. I'm just gonna turn one off just so I can see the other one so I know what I'm doing. Let's scroll down here a little bit. So I'm just gonna select this. I'm gonna put it in the position where I want, and let's just see how far it goes. We're gonna have to do a bit of tweaking here. Let's scale that up and kind of squish it, because I want it a bit thin, just like the sticks, so it kind of goes along with the sticks. So that looks pretty cool. Let's take that down. All right, so it goes up with the sticks. Nice, and it's timed well, so it kind of goes together. I'm going to turn the other one on, and I'm just going to do the same thing. This is a bit bigger, so I'm just going to scale that down about there. I'm going to squeeze it a little bit, but let's see what happens here. I'm probably going to drag it out a bit. Yeah, about there. Let's see how this looks. Okay, let's just do a quick preview. Okay, looks pretty nice. And obviously you can add a color, so if I just go to the effects and presets and I grab the tint effect, I can just double click that once this is selected, and I can just tint it. Let's see, what color do I want? Orange? Orange looks pretty cool. Let's copy that effect and put it onto the other one, and let's make this one, make it kind of red. Okay, I'm not going to go too deep into detail because there's so many options that you have with these. Once the product comes out, I'll do a promo for that and show you how to use them and kind of create some amazing effects with them, because this isn't all you can do with them. Anyways, so let's take a look at how these look. Pretty cool. One thing is, you notice that the mask is kind of cutting my arm because I move into it because of this frozen frame here. So to kind of fix that, once it's done its reveal, I'm just going to select it, press T on the keyboard, press the keyframe for the opacity, press the stopwatch for the opacity, go ahead a couple frames, and then take it down to 0. Now that won't affect me once I lean into it. So that's nice. I don't even have to worry about that for the rest of the tutorial. You can select that, change the color, let's say red, I don't want to touch it anymore, and I'm gonna lock it. That's nice. This better be recording. Alright, so the next thing we're going to have to do is, obviously once I kind of pull them apart, this kind of part in between here is going to have to be taken away. So I'm going to select my bottom layer, I'm going to duplicate it, and this bottom layer here, I'm going to zoom out, I'm going to go, let's hide this for a sec, I'm going to go to where I'm out of the frame completely, I'm going to right click on it, I'm going to go to time, freeze frame, so that's my background. You can see nothing's happening now except over here, don't worry about that. Nothing's happening, it's just a plain slate. Let's turn this back on the top one so you can see here. So once I do the mask, to give you an idea here, let's just open that. I'm going to press G on my keyboard for the mask. Let's just grab a mask like this. I'm just going to do this rough just for now. I'm going to do a shape layer here. You can see that it's done the wrong thing. So right now I'm going to go press M on my keyboard, I'm going to click the add and actually do subtract, so it takes it away. So there's the basic idea. Now there's a choice you can make. Obviously before you do anything, click mask path so that you don't lose your progress once you do rotoscoping is the term. It's where you go frame by frame and adjust the mask. It can be very frustrating sometimes. It's just a time-consuming process, so be ready for that. One thing I like to do when is just a cheating kind of way to save time. The reason why I added the kind of cool lightning bar kind of effect here is to hide my masking mistakes, because it was rushed. It was taking so much time to do. So I sped up my process by being very rough with the mask. So I can just select my mask here. Let's just get that there, and you can obviously see that a little bit is cut out. Alright, so that's why I have this lightning effect here. I got lazy. That might not be what you want. In that case, make sure when you add more nodes onto your mask, I don't even know if that's what they're called, but they're officially called nodes because I gave them the name. I'm going to add more nodes on here. In fact, you know what, I'm going to redo the mask. So let's just redo this mask here. What I'm going to do is go right along the lines here, and obviously this is going to take a bit of time, but once you have this down, you can essentially make sure you cut out the top part of your fingers, but not the bottom part, because that's underneath this layer. That's behind the white stick. So I'm just going to cut up my fingers. It sounds kind of weird. I'm just going to drag a line out here, and I'm not going to worry about the whole length of the line because I just want to subtract me. It's not going to, whoops. It's not going to be a big deal if this is left out over here. I just want to take me away. So I'm just going to go down here again. Do the same process for up here. Quick note, the way I'm doing this is just holding spacebar. So if I click and drag without letting go of my mouse button, I can hold spacebar to adjust it in case I want it in a different spot, and then I can let go and adjust that again. Next we can go ahead and go all the way up to the top here and then connect that mask. Now again, it's all wrong, so let's go and do subtract, and let's press F on the keyboard and let's do 2. Might be a bit much, but let's see. So if we just deselect it, you can see my fingers are out like that, and that looks great. It actually looks really good, and I would prefer to do it like that rather than having these lightning effects, but it literally was going to take me 2 to 3 hours to do this roto because I did it for a long period of time, and it's just going to take too much. So you can choose to do that depending on how long you have. I'm just going to do a fast way, and just when I have my mask, I can just select these. I'm going to delete these here. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to delete these, and just have it like this so that I can save my time. That way I'm going to add the lightning bars in later, and I'll show you how I did that as well in case that's the way you want to do it. So what I do, like I did before, keyframe the mask feather, or excuse me, the mask path by pressing the stopwatch. And when I move ahead 1 frame by holding Control and the right arrow, or I can just drag, or I can use the preview window over here. There's lots of different ways. I can adjust the mask to wherever that line or the stick is, and I'll just adjust that painstakingly for however long it is. And I'm not going to show you the whole thing here because I'm sure you get the idea of rotoscoping, but every time just move ahead 1 frame and move the mask accordingly, and do the top over here as well. And it's just the same thing. You can move a couple frames ahead and then do it again, and it'll fill in the gaps with where it has to go. I'm gonna have to adjust that. You can see I've been pretty sloppy with that, but it's okay because the lightning is going to cover it. You can see that it follows it, but not perfect. So I'm going to have to adjust that in between as well. Alrighty, so I've skipped the rotoscoping for your benefit and for your sanity probably, and I'm not going to rotoscope it all over again. It just takes so much time. So I've jumped into the previous project where I have it already set up, and I'm going to break down the tracking that I did so that you can get the lightning bars to follow it. What I have is on my main composition here, and actually it's right over here where the sticks kind of separate and where I need to add the tracking data to the lightning bars that are supposed to go on the sticks. So what I have here is I've got to track this whole distance from here all the way to the end here. That's when the last thing goes out of screen or out of frame. And I actually just I did the last bit with keyframing, but that's okay. You'll get the idea here. So what I did was at the beginning here, I'm just going to duplicate it because I don't want to lose my progress on that previous one. So with this one selected, or in fact, you know what, I'm going to delete that and go into the previous one and do the tracking here and show you how I did it here, because it'll mess up my progress there. So what I have is, here's my main footage here. Let's hide the mask for now. Let's pretend that this mask is following it and it all looks good, and I just want to track these now. So what I have is my tracking tools here, and I've done a lot of tutorials already in the past of how to track stuff. I'll put a link in the top here on how to do that. I'm going to briefly breeze through this. So with my footage selected, I'm going to do track motion. It's going to have this tracking point over here. I'm just going to make it a bit bigger by dragging the squares, and I'm going to go to the point that I want to track. I'm going to track that forward. Okay, so we have our tracking data here, and you can see it's following it. Now what we do is we right click, we do a new null object. I'm just going to call that tracker 1, and I'm going to make 4 of them. So Control D to duplicate it. What I'm going to do is with my main footage that's being tracked selected, I'm going to edit the target, and I'm going to choose the tracker 1. I'm going to do OK, and I'm going to do apply. I'm going to do yes. And you can see that null is now attached to that point that I tracked. You can see it's right over there. And I'm going to do the same for all the other sides. I'm going to do 4 of them. That's why I have 4. So I'm going to go back into here, do track motion, grab that tracker, drag it onto there, track it forward like I did before. Once it's done that, I'm going to edit the target. I'm going to add it to tracker 2, do OK, do apply, do OK. And you can see the second null's attached to that. I haven't tracked it all the way through for the sake of time. I do the same thing for the others. Alright, so if I jump back into here, next we have our Sabers, or the plugin Saber like I was talking about in the beginning of the video. I'm just going to activate one of them for now actually. And I'm just going to go into here, and you'll see there it's activated. You can copy the effects that I have up here. The main thing to pay attention is the keyframes over here. So what I have is, I have the opacity of the whole thing, so it kind of fades in with the opacity keyframed from 0% to 100%. Then what I've done is with the start size and the end size, I have them starting from 0 and then go to 100, so it just kind of gets bigger as well. So in the beginning here, this is kind of like a flicker, and then it goes all the way to 100%. And obviously you can change that. You don't have to have it exact like that. Just kind of do what you like. And there's so many different presets here. You can go with ghost. There's so many things you can do. But anyways, let's zoom out back here. And so I've done that for both of them. Now how to get these tracked onto your trackers here, what I have is, I have my null tracked over here. You can see it's moving over there, just like I showed in this previous tab here, how to track it. What I do is with the position selected, I'm going to press P. You can see all the keyframes. I'm going to go to the Saber here. I think this is the right one. Yep, so what I'm going to do is with the core start over here, I'm going to alt click the stopwatch. I've already done it, so I'm just going to go into here. If I alt click the stopwatch in the start core and I pick whip it to null 1, the tracking data 1, or whichever one you want it to correspond to, I'm going to release it on the position of null 1, and it'll be tracked to that position. Next thing I'm going to do is with the core end, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick whip the core to the end to the position of the null 2. So I'm going to drag the position with P on the keyboard. I'm going to go back up to that. So the end core, that's this right over here. I can't drag it because it's already tracked. In fact, let's do this. I'm going to alt click it to remove the tracking, and so you can see that's this point. So I'm just going to alt click it. I'm going to pick whip it to the position of that tracking null, the number 2. Once it's done in the position there, you can see it's tracked to that. And it's the same for the other one. So I just duplicated it. Here's the other one. I grabbed the core start, pick whipped it to the null 3, the position, and I did the same with the core end to the null 4. And that's pretty much it. And then at the end here, once they go out of frame, that's it, they go out of frame, you don't see them anymore. And one thing that I did forget to mention in the beginning here is when you're doing your rotoscoping, let's just show the mask here. Once I went all the way up with the top stick, so once it's gone all the way up there, once I've keyframed the mask position, and let's just widen that a bit, and let's take this down here, you can see that I've gone completely, and I leave the mask up there so that I stay disappeared. You can see that it cuts this out. That's okay unless you want to unless you're not adding the lightning bars in, because the lightning bars cover that. You can see that once it comes down, that lightning bar will be cut. Let's hide it here. You can see it's cut, but this lightning bar is covering it, so you wouldn't know that. So I just leave the mask all the way up like that, and I've completely disappeared if I didn't move, right? So but it's just a mask issue that I haven't done. See, but I've completely left the frame. So yeah, I hope that helps. If you guys enjoyed, consider subscribing. It is a little longer than my usual tutorials, but if you don't subscribe, I'm going to go ahead and hack your Adobe account, so be sure to subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification bell, because apparently subscribing doesn't really mean anything anymore. And I'll catch you in the next one. But remember, until next time, keep smiling, keep shooting.